Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to all our listeners. Welcome. It is the best sports hour on radio. It's Ingle, Monali, and Roger Sports Hour on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. So today, Monali, so much going on in your world of cricket, but also lots of stuff happening outside of cricket as well. So I don't know. Where you want to start off with? You want to start off with Australia going down?
Sure. Why don't we start with a hot topic? Sounds excellent.
Yeah, that should be a fun conversation to have. Also, other things happening in the world. There is the Winter Olympics. I'm not sure how you. I saw a headline about after a few days, no more condoms in the camp. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
You know what? We were actually having a conversation about this just this morning here. I mean, 10,000 condoms in 3 days is pretty impressive. I must say, very impressive.
I like the terminology that you use. It's impressive.
Well, I get they're athletic people, but the other side of me is like, shouldn't you be reserving energy for the actual competitions?
No, they probably need something to keep them motivated.
Really?
I don't know. It's certainly an interesting headline.
They've got to hold off until the shortage situation's figured out, because clearly they haven't paced it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if they can go to the end and finish up this event without losing their minds.
I think they've gotten to the end a few times.
That is true. Another thing is coming out of the Olympics. It's the medals. They said they're actually breaking. So,
Yeah.
You get your medalist from the Olympic Games and it drops on the ground and it's shattered. I can't believe it. I don't know. I have medals that don't break, so I don't understand the Olympics, Manali, the Olympics breaking up.
Yeah, it's a couple of, or more than a couple of athletes have now complained about the medal. I guess the circular part just kind of breaking off of where that lanyard part is, and
Yes.
I mean, they said they're going to fix it, but you'd expect Olympic medals to be a bit more durable.
Way more durable. It's the Olympics. Come on. So, like, wow. That one I couldn't believe. Have you been following the Olympics at all, or that much anyway, to see how Canada's doing, or?
Yes, I was until about 3 days ago when it took me 2 days to travel to Thailand.
Okay.
But I must say I'm very disappointed with how the Canadian Olympics is going. It's not every day that Canada loses their curling medals. These are events that we have dominated for years.
Yep.
The women's hockey clash against the U.S. was a disappointment
A
again.
disaster.
A disaster. And I think we've missed out on so many opportunities this year. And this is the first time that Canada has not picked up a gold medal at this point in an Olympics. And that's
Yeah.
a lot about how this whole tournament's going, or how the Olympics is going. Kind of makes you question whether we have some problems. We have problems in maybe the way we're developing our athletes, maybe the resources that we're giving our athletes, because let's face it, a lot of these other countries are financially giving a lot more to their athletes to prepare them better. There's a lot of money as incentive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just wonder whether all of that is now finally starting to have an impact, because we're a snowy nation. There's no excuse for us to be able to dominate
This
a
is
lot.
our thing. This is totally our thing, I must admit. So, yeah, you're right. I think so. Athletics Canada a few years ago took the approach of saying, we're not just coming here to compete, we're going to own the program. And so they set standards as to what it should be if you're going to be successful in it, and they spent the money to support it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to maintain. So I don't know if the budget is just not going their way or what is going on there, because Canada usually provide really good support for its athletes. So for this one, though, it doesn't seem to be working out.
I was at an Athletes Can conference a few years ago. This is when cricket was part of the Athletes Can umbrella. And at that conference, I got the chance to meet a lot of athletes from a lot of different sports. And one
Yes.
of the biggest complaints from almost everyone was the lack of funding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, at that point, this was about, I'd say probably 8 years ago or so, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, here or thereabouts. But that was then. And if that has just continued, and I know that we have a lot of funding related issues in sports in Canada, because even recently, I don't remember the university, but the specific university has cut back on their athletics programs.
Yes. Yes.
And
A
you
lot of
look
them
at
are
what the
cutting it
US
out.
is, and it just makes you wonder, though, isn't it? Because you look at the US and you look at all these scholarship opportunities that they offer athletes all
Yes.
around the country, that, and these athletes don't have to worry about the financial aspect of things. They get on-site training, access to gym, physios, and
Yep.
then you wonder, why are their athletes doing better? Well, I wonder if anything like that might have something to do with it.
Yes, you got to have sustained support, is what I call it, and I think that's always a challenge. Sometimes you look and you say, "How much money am I putting into this, and how much am I getting back?" And it's this vicious cycle where you get into this, and you said, "Okay, I'm going to support them," but then you put the money in, and you don't think you got back the returns you thought you would have, and it's like, how do I keep getting money from donors to keep this going? And it becomes a challenge. So the more successful you are, for sure, the better it's going to be, because you find donors a little easier. But it has to be sustained from the Olympic Committee or the Athletics Committee to make sure that no matter what, they go out there and they get the funding that they require, no matter how difficult it is. And if they have to go on the streets and start doing it themselves, or instead of just paperwork behind the scenes, they got to do what they got to do. But I think it's challenging sometimes if you don't have the right people at the top to say, nope, this is a priority. We got to get the funding going. And I think that's part of the challenge we have is, I don't know, maybe it's just not being pushed hard enough, but you're absolutely right. If you don't get the funding, it's going to be challenging to be successful. And this time, I'm not sure if it's a funding thing. I think more it's a psychological thing with the Canadians at the Winter Olympics more than the funding, but something's not right there.
No, we haven't been able to compete. We've
Yeah,
been
exactly. Yeah,
we've been outclassed in a lot of events that should have been better for us. And
absolutely.
I understand what you're talking about in terms of expecting returns in the gold medals, in medals in general. However, sport is a little more complicated than that. We're talking about people with lives, and people who have, all these other things going on outside of the sport. And if you want returns on a sport, it's not necessarily in terms of financial returns, at least not in a short term. That takes time for it to happen. And for our athletes to be consistent at it, I think we might also have to take a look at, what does our pathway look like? Do we have the right sort of training available, depending on whichever sport it is? Do we have the pathway from your juniors up to your seniors? How are those competitions looking within provinces, within the country? I think a lot of that might need a bit of a review, because at the moment, this is really disappointing. And I must say, it's just been difficult. It's been very upsetting, especially because, you look back over the years. I still remember doing a project on the Winter Olympics in grade 8, because the Olympics were on at that time, and we had all these athletes picking up medals at the time. I'm like, what happened? I know it was a few years ago. Grade 8 was a few years ago. But still.
I know. A lot of times people just say the world catches up, and I think athletes are pushing themselves a lot harder. I mean, when you're number 2, you go hard for number 1. So when you're number 1, you got to work harder to stay as number 1. And not all the times number 1 realizes that. But I think it's far more competitive. It was a lot. I mean, if you look at it, as I said, now Jamaica is in the Winter Olympics, and they're competitive, right? So who did they knock out, right? So at the end of the day, some of the winter countries take things for granted. And if they're not working, trust me on this, if they're not working hard to stay as number 1, it is a problem. But I do know from speaking to some people within the Olympics Association, both here and in Jamaica, funding is a problem, and you get funding from the Olympic Association and stuff like that, and World Athletics and all of that. But at the end of the day, you gotta go out and you gotta market your sport. You gotta define, as you said, the pathway and how much fund you need for each section of that pathway, and then you go and you get the funding for it. And you're right, if you get into this development thing, it's the best way to go. But sometimes they feel they just can't afford it. And I've seen some outrageous thin numbers. It's like, oh, you're not qualified by 5 seconds, and it's, I can't get you any funding, right? So, people like RBC and CIBC have jumped in, and I really appreciate that. But at the end of the day, it is a difficult balance because it's difficult financially for a lot of people. And I think the government is trying, but I don't know. Funding has to come from somewhere, I must say. So
it has to. And, we've got big organizations as well, whether we need to look at sponsorships, whatever it is. Yes. The reality is you need money to fund these things. And
absolutely.
We've got to try and find that.
In Jamaica, we always say it takes cash to care. So you got to find the cash from somewhere. So let's see. But you know what happened last Sunday? I don't know if you stayed up to watch all the excitement, but the Super Bowl. How do you feel about that Seattle victory?
I did not actually watch it, but I did follow it. I was amazed at how one-sided the game was for most of it.
Correct. I couldn't believe that at all, actually. I think I had mentioned last week it should be a tight game, and it was a tight game in general, but Seattle just had the better defense by far, and New England's quarterback seemed rattled or whatever it was. And at the end of the day, New England did nothing for most of the game. Absolutely nothing. So it wasn't an exciting Super Bowl to watch because it wasn't lots of balls going downfield or, lots of great running. Some of that happened, but not a lot. So, but it was an intense game because it was a defensive game. I'm not sure about you. They always say defense wins in the championships game, and it's proven itself to be true, but I don't know. Do you enjoy? Well, I think you do, though. Do you enjoy these defensive games versus the explosion on the offensive end?
Well, if I base it on cricket, I think you know my views.
Exactly. Based on cricket.
I do like that contest, regardless of what sport it is. Checks and balances.
Right. Understood. All right. In some other news, some tennis here. Canadian teenager Victoria Mboko, she's just flying up the charts, right? So she knocked out the Australian Open champion, Elena Rybaka. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So at 19, she's making waves. Last year she was 390 something ranked. She's now breaking to go into the top 10. So that is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm pretty sure we're going to continue watching her progress, but she's looking really good. As I say, she goes out there with almost ice in her veins because nothing rattles her, no matter who she's playing. So, and I think that the mental side, I don't know who her mental coach is, but whoever that is, Monali, that's what we need for the Canadian cricket team, right?
Oh, that's a soft spot. That's another, between the Olympics and the way the World Cup's gone, it's just another soft spot.
I know. And let's finish up with cricket, with tennis though. So, Felix Auger-Aliassime, only 25, he's now become Canada's winningest male in the Open era. So at the end of the day, I like seeing this, where the young kids are taking over. So Mboko is 19, Auger-Aliassime is 25, and they're number one in Canada. And I like seeing that. I don't like seeing records from way back when, I like seeing the new kids coming up and breaking new ground. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful to see that happen.
I think we will probably see more and more of that, especially because when you look at how young these players are starting and how much access they have, especially in tennis, there's a lot more money in that sport, right? And they've got access to better training, better coaches. Yep. And I think all of that will initially, have an impact on seeing how well they can adjust to some of the competition that exists now until they start running into each other, and then it's a bit more evened out.
I know. Interesting. But let's see how it goes. I think it's trending in the right direction in that sport, at least. So let's see how it continues there. In some track and field, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. So there were a lot of doping that World Athletics found at the Olympics from 2012. And usually what they do when they get tested positive, even if it's years later, they take away the medals.
Mhm.
But now we have 5 athletes who missed out and they came fourth, got nothing. And they're saying they're going to be suing the Olympics and World Athletics because of what they lost. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. So what is it now, 14 years later? You're going to
So
sue to say,
they want to
yeah?
sue the IOC
Yeah.
because they were caught for cheating.
No, because they came fourth. So what happens, right? When you get a medal,
So you're saying they didn't get moved up into their medal contention
until
okay.
like 14 years or 12 years later. So what happened is they're saying because they didn't do a good job and catch people when they should have caught them, it now happens that they've missed out on a lot of bonuses. When you get a medal, your shoe contract gets you bonuses, your association. So they're losing $50,000 to $100,000, and you can renew your contract easier when you have a medal to show, right? So they're soon to say we lost out here. They need to put together a clean athletes fund to give these people money whenever they find out that they lost out. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Is it too late? Should they even be considered for this?
I don't know how I feel about that, actually. Some of these announcements and some of these investigations take some time. I'm not denying that. But does that give an athlete the entitlement of going after the IOC for something like that?
That's the part I don't know.
Sure, I agree with that. I think that's really trying to stretch it far. I mean, yes, someone was disqualified for whatever reasons, and now you have by default gotten this medal.
Yeah.
But I think they're really pushing it here. A lot of what ifs. I mean, you're assuming that you're going to end up with sponsorships, and you're assuming that you're going to end up with these opportunities, and you can't put a value to assumptions sometimes. You especially depending on who the athlete is, what the sport is, which country they're representing. There's so many factors that come into it.
I know. But I sort of believe that it may not be a bad idea for the IOC or World Athletics or whoever it is, to put a fund in place to say, you know what, if we find out 10 years later, here's 10 grand or something. But then you're going to argue about how much that money should be. But I think something should be in place to say, you know what, I understand and appreciate the fact that you guys lost out because we didn't catch the cheat when we should have caught them. So, we are fixing our standards, but at the end of the day, we know you lost out. We know you lost out, and we're going to give you something to show that, okay, here's something. But I don't know how much that something should be, and that is going to become a huge bone of contention. Because as you said, if the country, if you may say it's $20,000 and they give that to someone from Jamaica or say Kenya or whatever, and it's a huge thing, but you may give that to the Canadian or the American, and they're like, what is this?
Right? And that's why I'm saying that it almost needs to be in the context of who it is that you're dealing with, which country. And certain sports I can understand, other sports might not be as popular as other sports as well.
Correct.
Hey,
interesting.
Look who it is.
Hello.
It's Ingleton. Good. Well, what is it? Good night, sir.
Well, good night, morning there to you guys.
Whatever time, I know.
Whatever time. One is
what
night
time
and
is it
one
where
is
you
morning.
are?
It's 8:51 where I am.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
It's 10:21 where I am, and
Yeah.
major jet lag.
Could imagine.
Yeah. All right, before we get over to cricket, lovely cricket,
I'm just
one last thing
listening.
about, what's that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna listen in to what you guys are talking about and
Yeah.
catch up.
Yeah, we were just about to talk something new, though, about Grand Slam track and field last year. They had this big $30 million splash, and it went bankrupt. And now they're saying, and this is really controversial now, they say the athletes were complaining that they got to get their money. They're now proposing that they're going to pay the athletes 85% of what they owe them, and everybody else is only going to get 1.5% of what they owe them because they owe $40 million. But they want to come back next year. And I don't know who would want to come back with these guys, but if they do this, pay 85% of what they owe the athletes, do you think that an athlete would show up next year and say, I'm going to sign back with these guys, or they're just going to say, forget this new league? Ingle?
I think they will probably want their money up front. I don't think they're going to take the chance and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and sign up. I think they would want to have guarantees, maybe put it in an escrow or something to make sure that they get paid.
And that's a really good idea. I think they want money to go recruit them because they're going to have to start spending money to get these athletes to even consider it. So they're filing bankruptcy just because they want to come back next year. And I'm not sure if that's the right approach either. I don't think...
in the US, there's a different system, so they can file for bankruptcy and then get back on track. Most companies...
That's what they're looking for.
But I think
it's unfair, though. I think it's unfair. I don't think it should happen.
It's unfair, and I think it's going to be difficult for them to attract the top athletes if they're going to go that route.
I agree with you 110%. I don't know. Monali, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm actually, I feel like I need to do a bit more research on this just to figure out what sort of impact we're talking on the athletes based on time. What sort of impact we're talking financially. I mean, obviously we want to support the athletes through this. We do. We want to have their backs because let's face it, it's a lot of time and effort and money to get to that level. I just don't know though how you can do it in a way that's fair without, it just needs a bit more, I guess, thought as to how can we make it fair for the athletes, relevant to the context of it.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. We have a lot to talk about.
Any feedback from any of the athletes?
They haven't said much other than they want their money. I think that's all they've been saying. Some of them are owed $300,000, $200,000, and these guys don't make a lot of money. So it's a huge impact on them. And as they travel across the world to do this, and it's like, give me my money. They want 100%, or they're not even happy about 85, but it's better than what they have today, because today they got nothing.
But then that's also the other thing, isn't it? So how much is money that would have been worth then worth now, right? So I just feel like there are too many factors that need to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, a lot needs to be, but I mean, as they said, they work for their money and they didn't get it. And they want it. I think it's the bottom line for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, from an organizational point of view, it's like, I don't have any money to pay you. We screwed up here, but give me a little chance and take some of the money. I don't know if they're going to accept that.
There is one other situation I want to talk about. I mean, the IOC seems to be in a lot of hot water these days between things like this, but I want to talk about the athlete from Ukraine who couldn't compete. He was disqualified because of his helmet, having pictures of athletes lost in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yep.
And what your thoughts are on the IOC's stand on this?
You know what? At the end of the day, these are the rules. These are the rules. It's a tough one for me because I can understand, but it's also a slippery slope, because if you allow him, then somebody's going to come with something else, and it becomes challenging to manage over time. So you don't want to set the precedent to say, okay, I understand you're coming from a war-torn country that is in the middle of a war right now, and you passionately want to represent the people that have been killed here, that, close to you, and it's a passion for you. But I mean, if the rules are being broken, then the rules are being broken. And I think it's always a challenge of, you put the rules in place for a reason. Yeah, you either amend the rules or you enforce the rules.
I see, it's not so much a symbol of war for me in this instance as it is a symbol of remembrance of those who have lost their lives. It's a tough one for me because this individual is doing this from a perspective of, I want to stand up for the athletes who I have known, who are in this athletic community and have lost their lives. And I want to do this just so I am giving them the homage or the respect of, not being here right now for whatever reason it is. So I mean, it's a tough one. Like if it was, okay, say no to war, or if it was, something that was aimed at Russia specifically, I could understand. But I feel like this is just almost just paying a tribute to these people who have fallen, and I understand the reason is the war that they've fallen, but he's not directing this at a country in specific. It's literally just the people from his country that have died.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's as I said, it's a passion because it's coming from really the bottom of his heart. So I agreed where he's coming from. I just don't know. As again, and yeah, this sounds like a valid reason for this one, but there are going to be so many reasons going forward. So do you say let one in and bend the rules here, because it becomes a slippery slope when you do that, and I think that's what they're worried about.
I feel really bad for him. I do. Just because getting to an Olympics takes so much effort,
Yeah.
so much training, and to be disqualified like this.
Yeah, I would have personally participated, and then at the end get my medal and then show. I don't know. I would try to stay within the rules to tell the truth. I don't know. Ingle, what are your thoughts?
I haven't followed the Olympics that much this year, the Winter Olympics, because we have the World Cup going on. But I saw some things on the news, and I'm just reading up, catching up on it now, and I see that he was banned for that.
Disqualified.
Disqualified, yeah, for that
Yeah.
reason. And people try to get their messages out, but I think sometimes, I think we've seen it in other sports where they're told they cannot do those things. So I'll just have to read about it some more, because I haven't really followed it. But I don't think it's the right thing to do. Just do these things unless you get permission, because most sporting events have specific rules, and they must follow them. The athletes must follow.
I agree. It's just a rule. Is part of it is where I'm challenged as well.
Yeah.
So.
We do have a tougher question for you, though.
What's that?
I was going to say we do have a tougher question for Ingle, because he clearly missed Crotchgate last week.
I did.
I don't know what you think about the
I
10,000
did that. I don't know if you guys
condoms.
10,000 condoms. Well, that's like a drop in the like a drip of water in the bucket, because the last Olympics it was 300,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But this is in 3 days.
So
3 days.
So I think the Olympic Committee should have known that if it's 300,000, you need 10,000 is not enough.
There you go. I totally agree. Yeah, it's always a thing. I've been to a few of these games, so these guys get too busy.
I was actually discussing it with one of my colleagues today, who's on tour with us, because he's been to the Olympics, and he said it's a normal thing. And
it is. It is.
He said the athletes just go through condoms just so quickly. It's like just normal. And
it is. It is.
I was at the Commonwealth Games in Malaysia, and listened to some of the athletes talk about the things that happen and they do, and especially when they finish competing, it's just all like a release. And
you go. It's time to have fun.
Yeah, he actually mentioned one athlete. Roger may remember this and may know about it, but one athlete actually apologized to his girlfriend. For cheating.
Oh, that's
That is I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that one. He put himself out there and he got his hand chopped off.
Yes. One of the other guys said maybe she made him do it.
Oh, no.
Wow. That's always a really good way to deal with things, when you blame the victim. That's
Oh boy.
Yeah, but all right.
Let me guess the gender of that person who said that.
It was a male, definitely.
There you go.
All right, let's switch over to some cricket before we run out of time.
Before we get into cricket, I don't know if you guys discussed it. I was reading somewhere that Elaine Thompson was coming.
She's back today.
Okay. I don't know if
let's see it goes. it's a Camperdown Classic in Jamaica, and both herself and Oblique Seville is going to open their seasons there. But the talk is about Elaine. You know, she has been away for almost 2 years now, so she's going to be running the 60 meters today. So I'm actually curious to see how well she does, because we haven't seen or heard from her in a while. She's going to be 34 this year, I think, so she's not that young anymore. But I don't know. I think, in my personal opinion, she's the most talented athlete of this generation, and the two-time double Olympic champion. So she does have a lot of credentials, and second fastest time ever and all of that stuff. So she has a lot going on for her. But at 34 and after 2 years, it's going to be interesting to see what she opens up with.
Yeah, it is. I mean, she's the second best for me after Shelly Young, but that's debatable.
Well, I'm not talking running form. The look of it, she's like a gazelle just flowing down that track, man. She's smooth, silky smooth.
She is, definitely. But I'm looking forward to see what she does, because it's been a while, and I would like her to get back to top form and challenge the Americans. That will be something special.
110%. I think that's what the entire Caribbean is looking forward to seeing. So I'm excited about it, actually. So let's see how well she does.
Definitely.
She does. So you want to talk a little bit about what happened against UAE? Because I noticed Monali was cheering for the UAE at the end of it.
Are you serious? No, Monali couldn't do that.
I wouldn't. We got our expression.
It was just one of those things that, there was I think the guy just got into a groove and played a gem of an innings, and the bowlers did not react properly for it. But it's a game that I don't think UAE won. It's a game that Canada gave to UAE. Basically.
Exactly.
Because I think in the last 4 of us needing close to 60 runs, you would bet on Canada any day. But I think our bowlers, talking to them afterwards, I don't even know if I can call it stage fright. Something went wrong, because they knew what they had to do. They knew the plans. They knew what they needed to do. But then they tried something completely different, and they admitted it in the end.
That's tough, man. Man, that is tough. I don't know. Monali, what are your thoughts on what happened there?
I was following the game. I don't have anywhere to watch it here, but I was having a conversation with Rue, actually. Ingle knows him, as this game was going on, and Rue's like, "Oh,
Roger knows her as well.
We should have this in the bag. This is an easy game." And I was very clear when I said, just, you know what, just give it time, because I think when it comes to managing the pressure situations, when it comes to staying cool under those pressure situations, we're not quite there. And I wanted to see Canada cross over the line, but there's always that question mark in my mind. Do we have what it takes to stay mentally strong to get us over the line? And I mean no disrespect to Ingle, but I can't say I'm entirely surprised that we didn't cross over the line. I think we've seen Canada do this a few times, and the biggest red flag for me is, unfortunately, we talk about winning becoming a habit and losing becoming a habit, and I think this side is now kind of slipped into this gear for the last few years, where the losing is almost, it's a habit, and it's a dangerous habit that they need to try and break out of. I'm disappointed that this World Cup didn't go a little bit better. That being said, I know we discussed before the World Cup started that we are in one of the toughest groups, and UAE was probably our best chance of picking up a win. I just think I think we've got a long way to go.
We do. It's a tough group, and if you look at the Afghanistan captain, what he said, Rashid, he said people in Afghanistan are getting on their backs, but he mentioned that they're not playing against USA and Netherlands. It's a tough group, but then, as you said, UAE was a game that we should have won. But what I realized in the end is that the UAE players have the experience. They've played in so many different T20 formats and leagues, and the Canadian players are not. They get to play maybe a Super 60, no GT20. So these players are among some of the best in the world and understand what it takes to get over the line, and we still don't have that finish and kill that we need to have. And as I said, talking to the players, players afterwards, you could see that they knew what they needed to do, but then for some reason on the field, they had different plans in their minds,
Yeah,
and they
and
did
the
something.
execution takes time, doesn't it? It comes with confidence, and it comes with that strength of being able to get through it in those sort of situations. I think for me, when we look at the way this World Cup has panned out with the associates, especially, there have been games, I guess, at the start of this World Cup where the associates have put some of the full members in some serious pressure situations. And now, as it progresses, they're starting to play a bit more like what we expect the associates to play like. But the question
Mhm.
is, well, why is that? And to me, when I look at the associate structure and the full member structure, it's two completely different tiers that we're trying to merge at a World Cup. The reality is you're only going to be as good as the opposition that you're playing. And so if the associates are only playing the associates, and then we're expecting them to go at a World Cup and try and pull off these magnificent wins, or as people call them, upsets, well, you can't
Mhm.
expect that to happen if you're not getting that sort of exposure to your opponents on a regular basis. We have to start integrating cricket. We have to start integrating between the full members and the associates. It's the only way to bridge that gap. And it's the only way for the associates to actually get better and to be able to cause some of these so-called upsets. And I hate that word being used because we don't want to call it an upset. We want to call it a team that deserves to be there and is competitive on that day to outplay the other team. It's not an upset. It comes down to the ability to be able to execute that.
Totally agree with you because even just today, I was having a conversation with Andy Pycroft, the match referee who played for Zimbabwe back in the day when they were an associate country, and he spoke about them qualifying for World Cups every qualifier. But then when they got to that stage, they weren't able to compete. And he said it's similar to what's happening right now with the associate countries. We're getting to the stage and not able to compete. And I actually mentioned in an interview a couple of after the first game, how do you expect us to play at the top level against the top countries when even the warm-up games you come here, you put associates against each other, you don't put them to play against the top countries.
Yep.
So how do you get to do that? And then if you go to an maybe a West Indies or England and ask them for a couple of games, they're gonna laugh at you and say no.
Yep.
So those things are not gonna happen. So unless I actually said maybe it has to be mandated, something similar to FIFA.
Yeah.
Allow teams to
Yeah.
play each other. Even if you're gonna get a 10-0,
That's
sometimes
really
FIFA
tough.
makes sure that you play each other. And that
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
T20, you're not gonna be beaten that badly. I mean, Nepal did well against
Mhm.
England, but then lost to Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big
So
time.
these are the kind of things that are going to happen. And then you see now the Oman and Canada not getting across the line because we've not played enough good games. In
Yeah.
fact, yesterday I was having also a conversation with Carlos Brathwaite, who was commentating on our game, and he
Yeah.
mentioned to me that Canada and Oman has lost the most wickets in the power play, 7 each time, 7
Mhm.
each
Really?
country. And he's
Wow.
saying that is because we have to rebuild, it's costing us 15 to 20 runs on the back end.
Mhm.
Because yesterday our target was to get close to 180. We figured if we got 180, we had a fighting chance. 150 gave us a bit of a chance, but
Yeah.
180 would have made us more comfortable. So when you lose, against South Africa, you lost four. You got to 156. We lost 3 wickets yesterday against UAE, and then you get to 150. So that's just
Yeah.
not enough to win these games on these pitches here. And you have to adapt. And as you said, Monali, we need to play more. Canada is probably the only team who qualified in June
Mhm.
and haven't played a T20I since June until the World Cup.
Yeah.
So it makes no
Yeah.
So
The,
sense.
the structure needs to make sense.
is that a Canadian thing or is it the ICC not doing enough to make
I'll
sure
let
that this
Monali,
happens?
I'll let Monali answer that one. I think it's
Um,
more
I think it's a bit of
Canadian
both.
thing. ICC basically says to you to organize your bilaterals. So if you're
Okay.
not organizing bilaterals with other countries, then you're not going to have games. ICC is not going to do the bilateral. So I think it's up to Canada to decide to get that done. So I guess it's basically on us for that one.
Okay. And that's good to know, because it just means you need resolve at the top and you need funding to get this done. But if it's in your hands, it's in your court, then you would do the right things to manage it, right, Monali?
Yeah,
Funding
and
is
you know
another
what? But
thing.
this is
Look
where
at
the
funding
ICC.
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that's a big problem. Monali?
But you know, the ICC does give you additional funds every time you qualify for World Cup for this reason.
Mhm.
So they are giving you money every time you qualify for a World Cup for you to be able to invest it in your preparations leading into a World Cup.
Okay, understood. Fair enough.
I think
Interesting.
my issue is we need to stop, or the ICC needs to stop thinking of associate teams participating in the World Cup versus competing in the World Cup. We're not there to
Exactly.
participate and get added onto the additional teams to make up the 16. That's not what the goal should be. The goal should be, okay,
Shouldn't be.
you have qualified. We're going to give you more bilateral series, whatever it is, to prepare you in the ongoing, not just after you've qualified, but this is something that you regularly are going to have opportunities to be able to get access to. And maybe it could be by ranking. I don't know, maybe the top 20 teams that, if we go by ranking, will have access to games against full member countries. So when you get to a World Cup, you're not participating. You're not there as the associate quota, which is what it is right now. We don't want to be a quota. We want to be there as actual competitors.
Agreed.
It definitely should be that way. And, I think definitely that's how it has to be. And you're correct to that. I mean, look at yesterday's game, not Canada, but Zimbabwe beating
Yeah.
Australia.
Monali called that one, right, Monali? You said Australia sucks.
Australia's not a very good. They're not a very good team. And then I think Steve Smith will play in the next game. I don't know if it's going to make a big difference. But
he may, though. He may. He's that good.
They can actually have a tough road to qualify, because they're gonna have to beat Sri Lanka, which is gonna be a tough game as well. Sri Lanka at home,
Yeah.
and they also have to hope that Zimbabwe is gonna lose to some of the minors.
That's gonna be hard.
I am quite. That series leading into this World Cup against Pakistan was a bit of a shocker.
Yeah.
Just because the games weren't even close, and they just continue that. And it partly is the selection for me is a big question mark. I just don't think this is the best squad that Australia could have put together for this World Cup.
Not even close, in my opinion. So, they seem to be ready to go down for whatever reason. But as Ingle said, the next game is going to be crucial for them. They have to win. And I don't even know. I don't know if they have it in them to win. So you made a good call, Monali, saying no, they don't look good at all. And it's showing that they're just not ready or prepared to do well.
Yeah. It also means that hopefully my willingness for South Africa to win is also going to be just as strong and validated as my call on Australia.
I know. We'll see how that one goes. Well, what do you think, though, about the West Indies? There's a lot of talk that they're looking good. I don't know what your thoughts are.
They're looking good, indeed. They're playing with a sense of confidence. They've had different players step up in different games, and this is what the West Indies in that T20 setup that we're used to is what we're seeing right now. And they're looking more like a West Indies side that we're used to seeing in the T20 format.
I agree with you 100%. And you know what? I think they have solid batting all the way maybe down to 10, but I think their top 6 is showing up for me right now. If 2 fail, 3 fail, the other 3 steps up. And it makes a huge difference when you can get that. So the bowling for me is still a little, let's find out as it goes along. But yeah, they did crush England in a very powerful way. And it's like, wait here. They're looking really good against England. I mean, England hasn't done much in a while, though. So But at the end of the day, I mean, they look good against England, and they look good against Scotland. So 2 games in a row, and when your confidence is high, the world is your oyster. You can do anything and win whenever you want.
I was really hoping that Scotland would have been able to beat England today, and we would have
It
been
is
able to say bye-bye, but it didn't quite happen.
You were dreaming.
I
When is it going to happen?
I know.
Listen, never say never. Never say never. I just feel
Don't
like the
think that was
associates
ever
of
going to
the
happen. It
they
was
run
not
out
on
of
the
steam.
cards. But West Indies are playing pretty good, and the bowling is of a bit of a concern. But I think
Yep,
they're doing
yep,
well.
exactly.
Their batting is clicking. I think Rutherford is in the form of his life. A great South
Yes,
African competitor, SA20, I think it's called. He
Mhm.
had a great
yes,
tournament, and Shea Hope has not clicked yet. He's been out of form a bit. Brandon
yes,
King. I think they have a great batting lineup, and Moti is back to his best, I think. So it's a
yes.
good.
He's looking really good, actually.
The thing about the last game, they won against England, but Shepherd, who had 5 wickets in the game before this, he only bowled one over,
1 over.
and they
I couldn't
won.
understand that either, but they were winning, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I was surprised.
And
1 over coming from a hat trick from the previous game.
actually, we had a debate because after England flying start, one of the guys said to me, "Oh, it's over in 18," and I said, "No, West Indies is going to win the game." And he said, "You're dreaming." But I said, most teams, even tonight, if you looked at the game tonight with New Zealand start, you thought they were going to get 200 plus, but
Yeah, yeah.
they didn't. So the games,
So,
the wickets, what I realize in these pitches, you can get flying starts when the ball is hard, but as it gets softer and it goes along, it's very difficult in the middle overs to keep up the same type of scoring.
Yeah.
that's what
So,
I'm noticing. That's what I'm noticing. But
and
I guess the pitches seem to
go
be
ahead.
better now, more consistent from what I've seen so far.
Well, India is not happy for the 2 pitches they got. They complain. Hardik Pandya said they need better batting strips because they had 2 pitches that favored bowlers, and they didn't like that. They won, but they want
Yeah,
some better batting strips for themselves.
But that was a very impressive bowling effort by Namibia against
It was
India.
impressive, and
yeah.
it shows so much. I mean, you learn a lot about playing in India because we played on the same pitch that India played. There was some assistance during the day for UAE, but then when we bowled on later and the lights came on, it was different. The temperature just dropped. It was like I didn't think you'd need a sweater in India, but last night we
Really?
needed sweaters.
The
Yeah,
winter,
and the
yeah, of
temperature just
course.
dropped, and the pitch played completely different to how we played in the day.
Wow. That's scary almost.
It is something to note to playing in this area. It happened up in Delhi, but then we're back now in Chennai where we have our final 2 games. One is 11 o'clock and one is a night game against New Zealand at 11 o'clock. They're playing in Ahmedabad right now, and then they come down tomorrow, and then we probably have a day and then in between before we play them. But I'm hoping they can collapse like how they did tonight because they had against the last game against UAE, they scored 175 without loss
Yeah, I noticed that. It
in
was just
15
domination
overs.
there.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think the World Cup itself is nicely poised. And before we go, because we have about 10 minutes, we can't
Oh,
go without talking about
we got five
tomorrow's
minutes.
game. Five? Oh yeah, 5 minutes
5 minutes.
because we have to cut early. We can't
Yeah.
leave then without talking about tomorrow's matchup and any bets on Monali and Roger. Are they going to shake hands after the game?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that they're actually playing the game, which is number one. But I think they won't. I don't think they will.
I think
You
they
know,
will.
I think they will and they should.
Yeah.
And
They should. They should.
Richie
So
Richardson
actually,
is
India,
is.
Pakistan are all.
Go ahead.
I was saying
Go
India.
ahead.
It's a double header because India, Pakistan women are playing here in Thailand,
In
and then
Thailand as
right
well.
after it's the men playing. And I just,
But
I think they will. The whole political side of things, I suppose, just they might have just reached some sort of agreement to
it's funny
get through
because
it.
It's funny, I was reading an article today where in 1996, when West Indies and Australia refused to go to Sri Lanka, India and
Mhm.
Pakistan played a combined team against Sri Lanka to prove
Yeah,
that the security was fine. I know
fine.
these
Yeah,
countries are fighting each other, right? So it's really so strange. And I hope
sad.
they do. I hope they do shake hands. I hope they have a
I,
great game. There was some discussion. I was watching the Indian team practice. I don't know if any of you saw it, but Sky was bowling in the nets, and he was actually imitating the Pakistani bowler. He stops right and then
yeah,
delivers.
Yes.
yeah,
So they're
I
practicing for
actually
that.
just I was watching that clip just recently, right before this call, and you can see that it's playing on the mind of the Indians, isn't it? That action. I mean,
It
he's
is.
troubled
That
a lot of
action is.
batters. It's
Yeah.
off-putting as a batter because it's you need the rhythm. You're anticipating that ball to come on time.
oh,
You're moving in accordance to that. And
Yeah.
what are
It
your
was.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can change it now and start to say it's foul and it's bad action and whatever. You've allowed
it's
them to
not.
play so many leagues and tournaments with that action, so it
Yeah,
shouldn't be a problem now because you're playing against India. I mean, we
there you
practiced the
go.
same time with India a couple of nights ago. We practiced at the same venue, same time with India, shared the nets with them. We actually had some chats with some of the players. I mean, when I look at guy, I stood up next to Bumrah, and I mean, I couldn't believe how small he is. I was expecting a bigger guy. I mean, he's
Oh,
tall, but
okay.
they're very, very fit guys. And
Yeah,
the way that they practice compared to others, like I try to tell our players, have a look at them. Like we were doing some practice in the middle, and most of our players were trying to hit sixes, where these guys were just basically trying to get the middle of the bat. And
there you go. The
occasionally, yes, they'll hit
fundamentals.
the fundamentals exactly. Occasionally, you would hit one out of the ground for six, but it wasn't trying to hit every ball out of the ground for six because they know it's not possible. So it's just
Thank
about
you.
doing the right things. But I think trying to get to the head of these young Canadian players, you don't have
Yep,
to hit, you can't hit a six every ball. 13,
true,
14 sixes maximum out of 120. So if you
true.
try to hit every ball in the air, you're going to get out. And that's
You're
what's
gonna get
happening.
it. Yeah, that 100% true. 100% true.
But
What are your
I think
thoughts
they
on
have
the USA though? Before we run out of here, what are
I
the thoughts
think
on the USA?
USA is playing well. I didn't expect such a big win
Netherlands?
against Netherlands. Tomorrow's win, if they beat Namibia tomorrow, I guess ICC may keep them back a bit because it depends on how Pakistan go in the next couple of games, whether or not USA or Pakistan get through. So Pakistan is always known to give up a game. They should get through easily because they have Namibia to play, even if they
Yeah.
lose tomorrow. But you never know with Pakistan. So, but the
So
USA are definitely playing good cricket.
how many teams get through from the Americas if the US is not in the Super 8?
Then Americas will then just be one team plus the West Indies to two teams. So
So we have to.
Americas USA will have to one team, so USA will be back in the qualifiers and one. In fact, there was some discussion that the qualifiers are going to go back to the way that it was before, where all teams will have to qualify and the top teams get through instead of by region.
Mm.
So you'll have two from
Oh,
each
so a
region, most
ranking
likely.
system. A
Yeah.
ranking system then.
And not really ranking, but you'll have the top two from each region going through to a qualifier like how the women do.
Okay. I just,
Right.
this is why I was very, very hopeful that the US would get into the Super 8 again because it just clears the
It's going
path
to be tough.
for
I think
us. But
Canada
it's
has
going
a
to be
lot of
tough
work to
now.
do, and Canada's going to have
Yeah.
to put in the work. They have the ability, they have the players to do it, but the players have to change their mentality. You got to realize, I mean, I look at the other players and I hope they do the same as I do. I look at them and I see athletes
Yeah.
compared to the associate countries.
Yeah. So we're gonna leave it there. We're out of time, but fascinating discussion. All the best to Ingle and his Canadian team and games coming up. I'm sure you're gonna get one. Not sure which one. And
I'll
Manali, you
try.
enjoy Thailand, cricket in Thailand for you, Manali.
And Manali
Thank you.
coming back to Chennai, I breathed a sigh of relief. I couldn't believe I could say that Chennai has better air than Delhi, but
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
well,
I
it
mean,
does.
Delhi is tough. Very, very, very tough. I'm glad you were
All
only there
right.
for 3 days.
Yeah. All right.
All right. we're gonna leave it there. But next week, so much to catch up on next week.
For sure.